in the last episode, I was saying that I was all packed and ready to go to the Himalayas. On the threshold, getting ready, packing up. Basically, packing up means not much luggage, but winding up and freeing myself to move towards the Himalayas. Now, before I go into that, I must mention a few things before we start, which I shouldn't forget to mention. One was my first visit to a temple. My first visit to a temple in my life. I had never before got into a temple because, as you all know, I was born and brought up in a Muslim family. We were not allowed to go to temples. It so happened that model high school where I went to school was not very far from a Subramanya temple. There's a Kartikeya temple there, Subramanya temple, in a beautiful campus with a lot of peacocks. The males danced and the females just stood there. And you could hear the sound of the peacocks all over the place from the campus. And it was like a hillock. And on top of that was a beautiful old Subramanya temple. Now, the priest of the temple was I forget his name, but he was a Tulu Brahmin from speaking the Tulu language from Karnataka. And his son Srinivas Rao was my classmate. So very often when I passed the temple, I used to think, maybe I should go and see the temple, what is inside. I've never visited a temple. So one day, Srinivas invited me to his house because the priest was also staying there in a small little house. So we went there and I was just hanging around the campus. His mother went to make a cup of coffee for me. They make very good coffee, filter coffee. So I was sitting and talking to Srinivas when I saw his father coming. His father was a tall man with sharp nose, hair tied up in a big juttu at the back. He came and he said, oh, Srinivas introduced me. So he said, oh. He said, I'm going to the temple for puja. Suddenly I asked him, can I also come? So he looked at me carefully, a very orthodox man. He said, oh, you can come, but you cannot enter in the sanctuary. You have to stay outside. So he went there and then I heard the sound of bells ringing. I was outside. After a while he pulled the curtains. I saw a beautiful Subramanya standing there with a veil in his hand. And on both sides there were two Shaktis. Subramanya has two consorts, so on both sides. So after that, when we came out, after the puja was over, he gave me the prasadam. He came out, sat down, had a cup of coffee. Then I asked him, this Subramanyam is what? So he said, Subramanyam is the son of Shiva. He's a god for us and he flies on peacocks at a very high speed. So I said, but have you seen him fly in the peacock? I was a small boy. Have you seen him fly? He said, some things cannot be seen by ordinary eyes. Certain things can only be seen with extraordinary eyes, which most people don't possess. If you purify your life and improve your mind, then you may be able to see such things. Otherwise, nobody can see such things. So I dropped the question of asking him whether you have seen it. I just kept quiet. I thought it would be wrong and insulting to ask him that question. Then I asked him, what about the two Shaktis standing around? Does he have? He said, they are his two consorts. I said, so the gods have two wives, is it? So he smiled and said, yeah, they have two. Like Muslims, they have 4 or 5, he said. So I didn't want to say anything. I just looked at him and smiled and came away. After that, I used to quietly, surreptitiously get into the Subramanya temple. and when nobody was around, make a quick pradakshina and come out. That was my first entry into the temple. I mentioned it specifically because that was my first time that I ever saw the insides of a temple, and I was fascinated by the concept of Subramanya, who in Tamil Siddhars called him Saravana Bhava. The mantra itself is Om Saravana Bhava. He is supposed to be also the god of meditation, the Skanda, which is the leader of all the Ganas of Shiva, and the god of meditation. He is mentioned very often in the Tirumulars, Thiruvananthapuram, many times as Kartikeya, the mystic yogi. Okay. Now the second thing I want to mention before the Himalayan trip was, which is very similar. I had another friend who was a Palghat Iyer, whose father, his parents settled from Bombay and came and settled down in Trivandrum. His father was working in the LIC, but he was also the trainer for the badminton team of the LIC. He was a very good badminton and tennis player. His name was Vishwanath Iyer, and my friend, his son's name was Ananta Narayan. He lives in Palghat now. Now I used to go to Ananta Narayan's house, which was not very far from our house, and mainly to eat very good sambar and idlis and vegetarian food. And that was the first time I realized that according to the orthodox Brahmins, a lady, when she has her menses, is not allowed to enter the kitchen. I found it out in a very funny way, because Ananta Narayan came to me one day and said, "Come home, today there is very good food." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because my father is cooking today." I said, "Why is your father cooking?" He said, "Because my mother is out." So I said, "What do you mean mother is out? She has gone somewhere?" He said, "No, she is not allowed to enter the kitchen." So that's how I found out the connection between the two. So I used to go to his house, have food. They were great devotees of Shirdi Sai Baba. So they used to have Thursday bhajans. I also used to go and join the Thursday bhajans. I even wrote the lyrics for a small song on Shirdi Sai Baba at that time. Something like Hey Prabhu, Hey Sai Nath, something, I can't remember the whole thing. So we knew each other quite well. Now it is relevant because after many years, when I was in college, my friend Ananta Narayan went and joined the Palghat Engineering College and went away. His father was transferred from Trivandrum to Trichur. So once he sent me a letter saying, the Trishurpuram festival is coming. It's a very important festival. Hundreds of elephants stand around the temple of Shiva, Vadakenathan temple in Trichur. Come and see the Trishurpuram because it's full of what are they called? Fireworks, heavy fireworks. So I decided to go. My friend was not there, so I was staying alone with him. This is very interesting because according to the rules, no non-Hindu can enter the Guruvayur temple. So when I went to see Vishwanath Iyer, one morning at 4 o'clock he was getting ready to go to Guruvayur. So, it's very close from Trishur. So he told me, "Vada Pola, let's go to the temple." I said, "Okay, fine." So I went with him. And then we have to be bare-bodied to go inside. I wear a dhoti. And we started towards the temple. As I went towards the temple, on the entry, I found a board. Board says, "No entry for non-Hindus." So I stopped. So he went inside. I was out. He told me, "No, it doesn't matter." He said, "You look like a Brahmin boy. Who is going to find out? You come." I said, "Look, I am not coming because it is written and we should not break rules." So he went inside. After some time he came back and gave me prasadam. Let's go. I said, look, I am not coming now. You go. I know the bus. You give me some money. So I got some money from him. And he said, I will be back by evening. So he went off. It's a beautiful atmosphere around the Guruvayur temple. So I went and I waited for some time, hung around. Then when I came near the gate and saw the board, I had this unbearable pain that I could not go into the temple. So I sat just outside and started crying. So I was crying very badly actually. My whole body was shaking. Some people came around, stood, what happened? They thought some pain or hungry or something. I said, no, nothing. After some time they all went off. They thought must be mad, God knows what. So I got up from there, went near the temple tank. There's a beautiful temple tank there. So on the tank there is a parapet. So I sat under a tree near the parapet, wiped my tears and lay down and looked up at the sky and fell asleep. I was tired also, so I just fell asleep. Now in the sleep I had a very beautiful dream. I can't say it is a dream or a vision, but it was a dream, but it was a very vivid dream. I was in the dream, I was standing outside the temple, Guruvayur temple, holding my hands like this and thinking, oh, I have to go inside and, have darshan of Guruvayurappan. Then from suddenly inside I heard somebody blowing the conch. So even in the dream I am thinking, oh, the pujari is performing the puja, he is blowing the conch. Then the conch sound, the shank sound became louder and louder, and it was reverberating in my head like a bomb. And then from inside I saw the small place where the deity is kept. It's called Garbhagriha. Garbha, Sanskrit, Garbha means womb, and Griha means house. So womb, house, that means deep inside, like a child. So that Garbhagriha was coming out of the temple and becoming bigger and bigger and bigger and coming near the gate. And inside that I saw this little boy standing and playing and laughing and saying, come, come, like that. So in the dream I was saying, Yamaram, I'm coming. And I woke up. So when I woke up, I decided that this is a good signal. Now what there is board or no board, I am going to go inside. So I went inside, had darshan, took a pradakshina, took the prasadam and came out. That is the one and only time that I could go to Guruvayur temple and come out, because now if I go, my name is in the newspapers, people will be very happy, but the Devasam board will be in trouble. So this I had to mention because this was kind of preparatory to my going to the Himalayas. Now the other thing I want to mention is the meeting with another great yogi, a Paramahamsa, who also looked like he was completely mad. Near the beach in Trivandrum, there is a beach called Pundara beach, which is beyond the Shangamukam beach. There used to be a person, nobody knows where he came from and nobody knows where he went afterwards. He disappeared after some years. They didn't even know his name, so they used to call him Pundara Swami. He used to be a man with matted hair and wearing a small cowpin and sleeping on the sand, and his pillow was always a heap of sand on which he kept his head and slept. And he hardly talked. Whatever food was offered by the fishermen, he ate. You can't say as vegetarian, non-vegetarian, whatever the fishermen offered, he ate. People say that if they offered him liquor, he would drink that also. But people used to go and stand around and bowed out. He would not allow somebody to touch his feet or anything. And he looked so wild that people were very frightened of going close to him. So one night I went, one evening, stood near him and was looking at him closely. I moved a little forward. Suddenly lying there itself, with one hand he pressed one, raised his body, and with the right foot he gave me one hit on the neck. It hit me somewhere here. And I remember I fell down. I fell down full of mud on my body and face. Then I got up and hit everything. And he was silent as if he had done nothing. I was lying there. I looked at him, he looked at my eyes, I also looked, and everybody around me said, "Ah, you are blessed, you are blessed." Only when he blesses, he does this thing to you. Came off. What happened was, for a long time I was having a persistent ache in my right backbone. When I went home, I suddenly realized that it was not there. It had completely vanished. So these are some of the experiences I wanted to relate before we talk about going on to the Himalayas. Also, I need to mention 3 renunciants, sannyasins, who had a profound effect on me before going to the Himalayas. One was Swami Abhedananda, who I have already mentioned, whom I met as a small child when he was doing kirtan and walking on the street, and how I used to go and meet him and get a lot of understanding about what bhakti means. He was basically a bhakta, Swami Abhedananda. The second person who influenced me was Swami Tapasyananda, who was then the president of the Ramakrishna Mission, Trivandrum, Shastamangalam, where they have a hospital. As a young boy, I used to, when I was in school and in college, I used to go on Sundays and meet him and talk to him. And we also used to go and meet another professor of Malayalam, who was a great teacher of Vedanta, Professor Balakrishna Pillai. I don't know if he is still around or he has passed away. He was pretty old at that time. He also lived near Peta, which was on the way to the beach. So Sundays we used to go there. Swami Tapasyananda would come and we used to sit there and have discussions on Vedanta. Swami Tapasyananda told me that Professor Balakrishna Pillai has actually experienced the essence of Vedanta. So his wife would prepare coffee, simple man living. Yes. Now afterwards, I met Swami Tapasyananda in many places as I was traveling. Sometimes I would come back. Now in the Ramakrishna Mission, there is a very important initiation, which is taking of the mantra of Sri Ramakrishna. Even though I had joined the Ramakrishna Mission, spent some time in different centers of the Ramakrishna Mission, I had not taken the mantra of Sri Ramakrishna from anybody, because I thought I had to find the right person to take the mantra from, because in the Ramakrishna Mission only the president can give the mantra. Later on, they changed the rule and said the vice president can also give mantra diksha. That was the time when I came to Chennai once more and found that Swami Tapasyananda has been appointed vice president. But he was living in Mylapore in Madras, in the Mylapore Mutt. So one day I went to him. After a long time I was meeting him. I went to him and I said, Swamiji Maharaj, so you have come. He said, where are you now? What are you doing? I thought you must have taken sannyas after you left the mission by yourself. I said, no, I have not taken any further. Then I explained to him where I was and what I was doing. Oh, he said, met a great yogi, wonderful. I said, but I have one problem still, that I haven't taken the Ramakrishna mantra. Hey, why? You did service to Prabhu Maharaj, you should have taken. I said, no, but I didn't. Can you give me the mantra? Okay. He closed his eyes for a few minutes and then he said, okay, on Guru Purnima you come and see me at the Mutt. Those days this new temple was not there. There was the old temple in Ramakrishna Mission. And said, what should I bring? He said, have a bath, bring a dhoti, some flowers and some dakshina and come. So I went. When I found there were other people also, few people. But he took me aside separately, individually, on to the temple. And then he told me to sit down, went inside and meditated for a while. When he came out, I found that his face was red and flushed and his eyes were all red and flushed. And he didn't look like this same friendly Swami Tapasyananda that we know of. There was something had taken place in his mind. Anyway, he came out. And then he gave me the Ramakrishna mantra, which is the Diksha mantra of the Sri Ramakrishna mission, which was first taught by Swami Vivekananda and continues down. Later on, Swami Tapasyananda introduced me to some books on Sri Vidya and Tantra, which I already had taken from Babaji, my Guru. And he passed away after some years. One of the best books, translations and commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita, all the 18 chapters, was written by Swami Tapasyananda. Also, he has written a beautiful translation and commentary on the Bhagavatam, which is also worth reading. It's in English. Because I vouch for the fact that he was a genuine sadhu. Apart from being the vice president and so on, which is an administrative matter, he in his young age had done personal seva to Swami Shivananda, who is Shivananda, a direct disciple of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, who used to be known as Mahapurush Maharaj. Not only did he do seva to him, he was initiated into the mantra by him and he was given Brahmacharya Diksha by him. Apart from that, he had done seva to Sharda Devi, the Holy Mother, who was a consort of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and who lived for many years. Many of Sri Ramakrishna's disciples passed away, but she was alive. She lived to a ripe old age. So at a young age, Swami Tapasyananda, who hails from Vattapalam, Palghat, left home and went and met Sharada Devi, stayed with her and did seva. Then he was introduced to Swami Shivananda and he got his initiation from it. This was a great man, one of the second person who had influenced me during those years. The third was a very peculiar man again, whose name was Nilakanta Swami, but everybody used to call him Chamberi Swami. He used to live in a remote village on the outskirts of Kerala, of Trivandrum, called Chamberi, which also happens to be the birthplace of Sri Narayana Guru Swami. There, story is that he used to be a tea shop man who used to make tea in a small tea shop. But he was a great bhakta of Sri Rama. So very soon, in his sankalpa, he began to think of himself as Hanuman and worshipped Rama as his god. As years went by, he became so involved in the identification with Hanuman that he closed up the tea shop and everything and used to spend most of the time on the tree, eating nuts and things like that. And after some time, people found him to be a very holy man who, when he blessed, things happened. So they built a small cottage and asked him to come and settle down there. So he was living in that small cottage and everybody used to call him Chamberi Swami. Now the college where I went to was not very far from there, the new Loyola College which had started. So one day, one afternoon, I cut class and went towards the Chamberi and saw him sitting in a thatched hut with a thatched hall also in front. So I went and met him and did pranams. He was also a matted haired man with a long beard and wearing a small cloth, loin cloth, very, very thin, extremely thin, almost bones. He called me near to him and put his thumb in the middle of my eyebrows for it, pressed it for some time, and I felt something very tangible happening inside my system. This was before I met Babaji. I came back and I found that I was in a very calm and tranquil meditative state. But even though he was a great holy man, he was a very, very practical man who could see through pretenses very, very easily. I remember that we used to have a gathering. So everybody was sitting there together. Suddenly he asked, which deity is worshipped most in Kali Yuga? Which is the favorite god of Kali Yuga? So many people asked, offered their opinions. Somebody said Murugan, somebody said Shiva, somebody said Krishna, it went on like that. He kept quiet. He said, anybody? Who is the favorite god of Kali Yuga? No answers. He refused everything that they said. He said, no. Adalla. And finally, he said, shall I tell you? Shall I tell you? They said, yes, Swami, please tell us. Chakram, he says, money. That is the favorite god of Kali Yuga. If that is there, everything is there. If that is not there, you will become a mad fellow like me, he said, and laughed loudly. Now, you can understand. And he had a favorite statement for Ramayana. When somebody asks, what is the definition of Ramayana? He always says, Ramayanam. That means the darkness has to move out. In Malayalam, Ra is the short form for Ratri, means night. Mayanam means it must be rubbed out, erased. He said to understand Ramayana, the darkness must be rubbed out. So Ramayana for him became Ramayanam. So this was the great soul. So these three people had a profound influence on me. Before I decided to step out of home and be on my own, so their blessings were always on me. So this is what happened before I started off for the Himalayas.